This is the most probable place where David's bones rested.
Will one of you fight me? Israelites! You win! And the Philistines will be your slaves!
What if everything you thought you knew was wrong? For centuries, millions have traveled to Jerusalem, believing they were standing at the tomb of King David on Mount Zion, paying tribute to Israel's greatest king, a legendary poet, and fearless warrior. But what if they were all mistaken? This isn't just a historical mystery. It's a spiritual awakening. It calls into question ancient traditions, the credibility of sacred landmarks, and the stories passed down through generations. Beneath centuries of custom and belief, a haunting question remains. Where is the real tomb of King David? Could it be buried under layers of myth and centuries of misunderstanding? To find the truth, we must return to the heart of an age-old mystery, the enigma of King David's tomb. For hundreds of years, Mount Zion has been revered as the final resting place of the legendary king. Pilgrims and tourists alike come from around the world to this holy site, lighting candles, whispering prayers, and shedding tears in devotion. But the truth may be far more complex than tradition suggests. Historical evidence reveals that the belief in Mount Zion as David's burial site isn't as ancient or as solid as many have been led to believe. Mount Zion was first identified as King David's tomb during the early Islamic period, almost 1,000 years after David's death. Later on, medieval Christian writings helped cement this belief, turning Mount Zion into a major pilgrimage site. But these stories, while powerful, are rooted more in legend than in verified history. That's not a statement made lightly. In 1863, French archaeologist Charles Clermont-Ganneau explored Mount Zion in search of evidence pointing to a royal tomb. His results were inconclusive. Decades later, in the 20th century, other experts, including renowned Israeli archaeologist Dr. Gabriel Barkay, revisited the site, hoping to uncover something definitive. What they found was nothing. No evidence to support the idea that King David was ever buried there. So how did such a strong tradition take hold? The answer lies in the complex and often chaotic history of Jerusalem, a city repeatedly conquered, destroyed, and rebuilt across the centuries. Every wave of new rulers, Byzantines, Muslims, Crusaders, left their own imprint, shaping the spiritual and physical map of the city. Mount Zion, with its breathtaking views and ancient fortifications, naturally became a focal point of reverence. But as impressive as it is, Mount Zion represents a tradition rooted more in myth than in historical truth. If that's the case, if Mount Zion isn't the true site, then where is King David actually buried? To find the answer, we need to return to the most ancient and reliable source we have, the Bible. And remarkably, the answer has been there all along, hidden in plain sight. 1 Kings 2:10 states it clearly. Then David slept with his fathers and was buried in the city of David. This isn't a metaphor or poetic flourish. It's a direct statement, a historical claim about where Israel's greatest king was laid to rest, and it's not a one-time mention. The Bible repeats this for other kings of Judah, Solomon, Rehoboam, and their successors, all said to be buried in the same place. So where is this city of David, and how did the world get it so wrong for so long? To uncover the truth, we must leave behind the legends of Mount Zion and turn instead to the heart of ancient Jerusalem, the true city of David, where the real story begins. The city of David isn't some forgotten legend or myth. It's a real, tangible place. Located on a narrow ridge just south of the Temple Mount, this ancient site spans about 10 acres. It marks the original core of Jerusalem, the birthplace of the city, the heart of ancient Israel's power, and the location where King David's palace once stood. This is living history, a place where the past still speaks through every stone and shard. But how can we be sure this is truly the city of David? The answer lies in both scripture and science. The Bible consistently refers to the city of David as the burial site of the kings of Judah, including David himself, and archaeological evidence backs this up. Years of excavations, led by one of Israel's most respected archaeologists, Dr. Eilat Mazar, have revealed stunning discoveries. Researchers have unearthed massive walls, fortified structures, and remains that point to a royal presence. In 2005, Dr. Mazar made a groundbreaking discovery, a monumental structure she identified as the Palace of King David. Beneath this ruined palace, the layers of time revealed the foundation of Israel's first royal city. Pottery shards, ancient inscriptions, and crumbling stone walls all came together to tell the story of a once mighty kingdom. But the city of David isn't just a collection of old stones and relics. It's a maze of history and memory, a place where ancient stories and modern discovery meet. Beneath the surface of the city of David lies a hidden world, a maze of ancient tunnels and burial chambers. These underground passageways may hold the key to solving one of history's greatest mysteries, the location of King David's lost tomb. Even though we now know where the city of David is, the question remains, where exactly, within this sacred ground, could King David be buried? To find that answer, we must look closer at the clues left behind by ancient writers and early explorers. Sometimes the most vital hints are buried in the smallest details. One such clue comes from the book of Nehemiah. As Nehemiah led the rebuilding of Jerusalem's walls, he documented the repairs in detail, noting a section that extended to a point opposite the tombs of David. This isn't just poetic or symbolic language, it's a reference point, a map. It tells us that, even centuries after David's death, his tomb, and those of his descendants, was still known and visible. And notice something else. The text mentions tombs, plural. This wasn't a single grave, it was a royal burial site, a resting place for the kings of Judah. So why have these tombs remained hidden for so long? The answer lies in Jerusalem's long and tumultuous past. Over the centuries, the city has been conquered, destroyed, and rebuilt many times. Earthquakes, wars, and sweeping religious changes have buried its ancient secrets under layers of debris and time. Archaeologists have long searched the city of David for signs of these royal tombs. In the 19th century, French archaeologist Charles Clermont-Ganneau believed he had found King David's tomb. But his claim was eventually dismissed. His discovery lacked the evidence needed to confirm such a bold conclusion. The findings were ultimately inconclusive. More recently, renowned archaeologist Dr. Eilat Mazar uncovered a series of monumental structures within the city of David, including a massive stone structure believed to be part of King David's palace. But beneath those stones lies a deeper mystery. Beneath the city of David is a maze of ancient tunnels and passageways, hidden chambers that may hold the lost tombs of King David and his descendants. Could these underground passages be the key? Is it possible that the true resting place of Israel's greatest king lies directly beneath our feet, buried under centuries of rubble and forgotten history? This is where faith meets archaeology, where ancient legend collides with modern science. And as we stand at the edge of this timeless mystery, one question still echoes: will we ever uncover the true tomb of King David? Enter Raymond Weil. The search for King David's tomb is a story full of twists, ancient lore, and surprising discoveries. And no figure captures the spirit of this search better than Raymond Weil, a French Jewish archaeologist whose determination led him to a startling discovery beneath the city of David. Weil arrived in Jerusalem in 1913, just as the world stood on the brink of war. But his mind wasn't on politics or conflict. It was set on a different mission, the pursuit of truth. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Weil wasn't satisfied with hearsay or myth. He turned to the one source he believed could guide him, the Bible. Using scripture, especially the book of Nehemiah, Weil focused his attention on the city of David, the narrow ridge just south of the Temple Mount, and then his trained eyes spotted something others had missed. Raymond Weil noticed something unusual, something others had completely overlooked. At the heart of the city of David lay Hezekiah's water tunnel, a narrow, ancient passage carved through solid rock. Originally built to protect Jerusalem's water supply from invading forces, this tunnel featured something strange, a sudden and unnatural curve. Most explorers had dismissed this bend as a mystery, but Weil saw it differently. To him, it was a clue. Why would the tunnel abruptly change direction? Weil had a theory. Maybe the tunnel was deliberately avoiding something sacred, something that could not be disturbed, a holy site. possibly even a burial place. Fueled by this idea, Weil launched a new phase of excavation. What he uncovered would astonish even the most skeptical scholars. Beneath layers of debris and forgotten time, cut directly into the bedrock, was a series of grand tombs, horizontal burial galleries with side chambers and connecting tunnels. These were not the simple graves of common people. They were vast, carefully constructed, and clearly meant for someone of great importance. Raymond Weil knew he had found something extraordinary. Among these burial sites, one tomb stood out above all, the largest and most impressive. He labeled it Tomb 1, or simply T1. This was no ordinary burial chamber. It was a vast room, complete with side niches and a central area for the body, a design truly fit for royalty. Weil came to a bold conclusion. He believed he had uncovered the tomb of King David himself. But as the dust settled and the news of his discovery spread, so too did uncertainty. Because with every groundbreaking find comes skepticism, and soon questions and doubts began to emerge. No great discovery comes without controversy, and for Raymond Weil, the criticism came quickly. Leading the opposition was Kathleen Kenyon, a highly respected British archaeologist whose work in the 1960s reshaped much of what we know about ancient Jerusalem. Kenyon dismissed Weil's theory outright. According to her, the grand tombs he had uncovered were not burial sites at all. They were cisterns, underground chambers meant for storing water. But there was a serious flaw in Kenyon's argument, one that couldn't be ignored. The structures Weil found didn't resemble any known cisterns. They were missing essential features like sloped floors and drainage systems, key elements in any ancient water storage design. Instead, these chambers were carved in a completely different style. Horizontal galleries, deep niches, multiple rooms, all classic features of royal burial tombs. Their layout matched the traditional design of ancient sepulchres used for kings and nobility. So why did Kenyon reject Weil's conclusion? Part of the issue came down to context. At the time, there were almost no other known royal tombs from David's era to use for comparison. Centuries of war, invasions, and rebuilding had wiped away most evidence of ancient royal burial grounds. With so little surviving from that period, even the most convincing tombs could be misinterpreted or overlooked entirely. Misinterpretation was part of the problem, but there was also a deeper issue at play. A misunderstanding of what a royal tomb from King David's era should look like. Many scholars expected something extravagant, elaborate carvings, ornate inscriptions, rich decorations. But in the 10th century, BCE, royal tombs were far more modest. Their significance wasn't in their appearance, but in what they held: sacred relics, treasured artifacts, and the remains of kings. Weil's discovery wasn't rejected because it lacked evidence. It was dismissed because it didn't match modern expectations. Yet despite the skepticism, one truth stood firm. The tombs Will uncovered were unlike anything else in Jerusalem. And incredibly, the Bible itself offers a vital clue that seems to support his theory: the overlooked truth. So how could such a groundbreaking discovery be forgotten? How could the possible tomb of King David, one of history's most legendary figures, fade into obscurity? The answer is both simple and tragic: politics and religion. The tombs Weil excavated lay in a highly sensitive area, one where political tensions and religious claims have long overlapped. As conflicts intensified in the Middle East and control of Jerusalem shifted over the decades, Weil's discovery was slowly buried beneath more urgent headlines and deeper divisions. At the same time, the tradition that Mount Zion was King David's burial place continued to thrive, sustained by centuries of pilgrimage, faith, and religious ceremony. It was a convenient belief. The Mount Zion shrine was easier to access, easier to promote, and far easier to accept. Challenging that narrative would have meant confronting generations of belief, and so Weil's findings were left in the shadows. But the evidence remained, quiet, unchanging, and waiting to be rediscovered. Even the New Testament affirms the tomb's reality. In the book of Acts, the Apostle Peter addresses a crowd in Jerusalem saying, "Brothers, I can tell you confidently that the patriarch David died and was buried, and his tomb is here with us to this day." Spoken nearly 1,000 years after David's death, Peter's words leave no room for metaphor or myth. He wasn't speaking symbolically. He was pointing to a real physical location, a tomb that still existed in his time. And according to the Bible, that tomb was not on Mount Zion. It was in the city of David, the city of David. But beyond the mystery of a forgotten tomb lies a deeper, more profound truth. The story of David is not just about a missing grave. It's about a legacy. David's greatness was never defined by where he was buried, but by the royal line he began, a lineage that, according to Scripture, would one day bring forth a greater king, Jesus Christ. The Bible is not a myth. It's not just a collection of ancient stories or moral lessons. It is a record of real people, real places, and real events. And the tomb of King David, hidden, overlooked, yet still present, stands as a powerful reminder of that reality. Raymond Wile's discovery may have been forgotten by many, but it still speaks volumes. It calls us to remember that faith and truth go hand in hand, and that sometimes truth lies buried beneath layers of legend and time, waiting for someone willing to dig deeper. As we walk among the ancient stones of Jerusalem, we are reminded that history is not lost, that beneath the dust of centuries, truth still endures. And for those who believe, David's greatest legacy isn't a tomb, it's the eternal throne of his descendant, Jesus Christ. If this journey has opened your eyes, if it's inspired you to search for deeper truth, make sure to subscribe, because there's still so much more to discover. Together, we'll continue to uncover the truth woven through the pages of the Bible and the stones of history.